What is up, Netflix fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking another comedy special on Netflix, and that is Bill Burr, Paper Tiger. I need you down in the comments below. Did you enjoy this special? Are you a fan of Bill Burr's? And let's get into it. All right, so Bill Burr unloads on outrage culture, male feminism, cultural appropriation, robot sex, and more in a blistering stand-up special shot in London. All right, so Bill Burr, he's back. He is taking on exactly what the summary said he's taking on, and this is 2 weeks in a row when we've had a comedian come on stage and do a few things that are a bit controversial. If you guys watched my video last week talking about Dave Chappelle, told you guys I thought it was funny and really enjoyed what he was doing it. And after hearing all of these things and watching Dave Chappelle's performance, I'm like, well, I honestly expected it to be worse, and the guy did what you want a comedian to do when he's taking on these topics. He did not just joke about one group of people or one person for 45 minutes. No, he took on every single thing, and that's one thing that I wanted Bill Burr to do, especially after reading the summary before going in. I'm like, all right, if he's going to do this, he needs to do it. He needs to make it fair, because when comedy's fair, yet it still tackles things that are going to make people upset, that's when it really works for me. And just a bit of background on my love for Bill Burr. You know, I didn't really come around on him until more recently. And when I say come around, I mean, I just never really watched any of his specials. I was kind of out of the loop when it came to Bill Burr, but I had heard so many great things, and I started to watch his performances, and he's a hilarious comedian. And the more that I think about how the way that he kind of handles himself on stage, the more I enjoy him. And I would honestly at this point put him in the upper echelon of comedians working right now. And this special for me, once again, this is all opinion based. When you're watching a comedian perform on stage, it all for me comes down to one thing, and that is, did you laugh? That's how I'm going to judge this performance. Was it funny, and did you find it something that you would maybe go back to and revisit in the future? And at the end of the day, and I'm starting to realize this more and more, when it comes to judging a comedy special, it all just kind of boils down to one thing, and that is, did the special make me laugh? Did I like the on-screen presence? And how was the delivery, right? You can have all of the flashy lights and musical performances. A comedian like Bo Burnham, I love because he incorporates so many different things into his act, and it's more of a production. But when you have someone like Bill Burr, you just want him to come out and deliver the jokes that you know he's really good at. And he absolutely does that in this special. I found this special to be hilarious, and I was probably laughing a bit more than I was during the Dave Chappelle special. Still found that special to be awesome, and the guy is a master when it comes to comedy. But Bill Burr, man, the gut-busting laughs that I had during his performance, I mean, it felt like every 5 minutes he told this joke with this delivery that was just on point. It was complete fire, and the guy was just constantly spouting out incredibly well thought out and incredibly relevant jokes. And that's the word that you have to use with something like this, because once again, there will inevitably, as there was last week with Dave Chappelle, there will be a backlash to this performance, no doubt, because the things that he's tackling, I mean, he's tackling everything from the Me Too movement to feminism to actors portraying roles, being actors, just extremely relevant topics to the way that society kind of moves nowadays. And sometimes the delivery of a joke in this vein, in this nature, can come across as offensive. And even the jokes that kind of offended me, I'm just sitting back going, it's comedy. I mean, a comedian like Bill Burr, he should be allowed to go on stage and do what he does and not feel the pressure of, oh, should I say this joke? And you can tell, right? There's a line, there's a wall. If a comedian kind of tears down that wall and starts going for a specific group of people, like I mentioned earlier, and just ripping them apart for 15 to 20 minutes, and you can tell that there's no heart there, then I'll sit back and go, maybe you pushed it a bit too far. Maybe you need to scale back a bit and tackle everything, as opposed to just tackling one or two things, right? And he does that here. Like I said, he tackles the Me Too movement and how it started, which is, in fact, a pretty big deal. I mean, people were doing things that you frankly should not be doing, and it's kind of ridiculous that there are human beings who would act like that. But then he tackled the fact that what it has escalated to may be occasionally something that's like, all right, this is something that we can joke about it. And he did kind of focus on the fact that it has escalated to something that allows a comedian like him to take on a joke like that. And he did that with everything. I mentioned the Bryan Cranston, the upside, the fact that actors are taking on roles that are requiring them to act, and he says it in his act. He's like, do I need a murderer to play a murderer in a movie? And just the way that he handled himself, and a lot of it comes down to the delivery, right? If a comedian's jokes fall flat, regardless of if they're funny or not, they can fall flat because the delivery is off, and I've seen it countless times. The joke, it's like, all right, that could be funny in theory, but the delivery, the timing. But I think one of the reasons why Bill Burr works so well is because he has the timing. He has the comedic range, of course, but he just nails every single joke, and it feels like when something is about to go wrong, go awry, he brings it back down to earth, and every single topic that he covered, I found something extremely hilarious. And now, when he was pushing the envelope, I found that significantly more funny than when he wasn't, and I hate to phrase it like that, because once again, if you find this offensive, I'm not going to sit back and bash you. I'm not going to say, well, you're wrong, because there were a few things that he said, I'm like, all right, not as many as Dave Chappelle, but there were a few moments within the show that I wasn't laughing as hard as I can. But once again, he's a comedian. He's allowed to flex his chops because he's gotten to that point in his career to where a lot of people are going to love him regardless of what he tries. And he really did, man. He comes out, he pushes the envelope, and those are the jokes for me that hit the hardest. And once again, he acknowledges important topics that mean a lot to important people. And I'm not trying to strip anything away from you if you believe that what he is saying is ridiculously unethical. If you believe that, that's fine. That's the subjectivity of movies and TV, what I'm normally talking about, but that's really the subjectivity of comedy. And I always say this, I said this last week, comedy is one of those genres, if I don't find it funny, I'm going to give it a bad review regardless of what anyone else thinks. But if I do find it funny, that's the biggest thing in terms of a movie. You can have great filmmaking and this and that, but if the comedy is not funny, then it has failed as a comedy. And I think Bill Burr Paper Tiger really did its job. I think it delivered. The comedic timing was awesome. I found his jokes about Elvis to be funny. He tackles Stephen Hawking, which may make people upset, but the jokes were just really on point for me. He mentions the fact that he has a black wife and then tells a story of something that happened between them while they were watching that Elvis documentary, and the route that he goes down, he's like, I don't want to go down this route, but it's true because you know that he loves his wife, he loves his daughter, and you can tell that there is a love there for so many people. And I mean, y'all know how big of a comic book fan I am. I've seen Bill Burr rip on Comic Cons before, and I don't sit back and go, oh my goodness, I understand, I acknowledge that it's a joke, and that's what he does, and that's what he did so well. He carried himself so well on this stage, and Paper Tiger may not be the funniest I've ever seen Bill Burr, but he really knocked out this performance on a massive stage in another country, and it just felt like the audience was there with him. Everybody was having a great time, and if you're asking for a recommendation for Bill Burr Paper Tiger, I absolutely have to give it to you. I think this is a comedy special that you will not regret watching. Now, once again, if you know that you're going to get offended, just don't watch it, right? I've seen people that have watched it and they're like, well, just don't watch it. Like, don't, what Dave Chappelle said last week, don't click on my face if you know you're going to get offended. I found it really funny, in good spirits, and this is one that I would absolutely recommend. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hey, if you like this Netflix review, every single weekend I'm reviewing the brand new show or movie coming out on Netflix. This weekend we have a lot of stuff dropping, a lot of things to talk about. The Island, Unbreakable, The Chef Show, so many shows dropping, and of course the theatrical reviews. And don't worry, I have my Batman fan casting video and the Office tier list coming very soon. You're absolutely the best, and I'll see you later.